Are live. This is fantastic. What's going on, Nancy?
Hey, Mitch. Gosh, this is so much fun to be live with you again. I feel like we've been doing this for years, but we haven't done it in so long. So thank you for inviting me. It's good to be here.
So, Nancy, I told you we have some other screens going on. I am muting my mic, everyone, on some other screens because we want to make sure we can get your questions coming in. I think we're good now. I was hearing like three Nancys at once, which
Oh,
is always good because I love doing these shows with you. I'm a big fan of all the value you bring to the digital sandboxes, Nancy, and I can't think of anybody I'd rather have co-host today's show
thank you.
with, about Bluesky for lawyers. Everyone, we're excited. This is the platform. I think 24 million users as of this week, a million new users a day. A lot of us, Nancy, we're looking for a new home, a new place to go, a new place to share our content, build new relationships, add value to our communities. And you know what? We may have found it with Bluesky.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we've had the perfect storm. People, and I even saw in the comments when you posted this on LinkedIn, and one of your connections said, is this another flash in the pan? And, like some others. And I think what we have here is, and time will tell how it will all play out. But I think we had a perfect storm with the election and the distaste for Elon Musk and a lot of the toxicity that was going on, and just in terms of service changing on X/Twitter. And so I think there was, hi, Barb. I think there was a perfect storm that
Yeah.
caused this initial. I know they launched in February officially, but to cause this sudden influx. So,
Yeah.
and I know we'll get into that, but it's interesting to watch what's going on right now.
It really is. And whatever the reason, we have people watching us today or watching the recorded version of today's show or joining us and engaging with us over on Bluesky. It's good to have you here. That's what we're excited about, whatever your reason and purpose. And Nancy and I have been in the digital spaces for a long time. We have played in all the different venues. We know what works and what doesn't. And we're both very, very excited about what we're seeing in the Bluesky community. And without going into a lot of detail, I do want to point out, Nancy, we are broadcasting live on Twitch, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, via the same links. This show is recorded. So if you have friends that want to watch this and they can't catch the live show, it's at the same link recorded once we're done. We're going to be answering live questions. Nancy and I are not experts on the Bluesky platform, but we have been tinkering with it. We have been playing around with it. We've been spending some time. And I think we both have a pretty good grasp of what it can do and what it can't do. And we're both very excited about 2025. But let me start off just everyone. The Bluesky platform, it's an open source platform. You own your own data. You can take it with you if you go someplace else. We really like that feature. We like the idea that a billionaire is not going to come along and be able to buy the platform. Okay. It's just the way open source is set up. It's a quasi decentralized platform. I'm really interested in that type of business concept. I like to walk my talk and play on these platforms that are doing this kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons I'm here. They also talk about no ads or your data. I'm getting a reminder. I need to tell everybody, Nancy, we may be having the Chief Operating Officer,
Yes.
Rose Wang, join us at about 20 after the hour. So everybody, that's going to be really cool if you want to meet Rose. But getting back to the advantages of Bluesky, it's my understanding we're not going to be having ads, right, interfering with our content. The data is going to be yours. It's privacy protected, security protected. You don't have to worry about that. What I really love about the Bluesky platform, Nancy, is we can select our feeds. We can select our algorithms. We can decide if we want to look at art or talk about the law. We can decide if we want to talk about legal tech or, puppy dogs, right? Which I know you and I are both big fans
Yes,
of.
they are.
And I think for those reasons, this platform has a tremendous upside potential. And it's also one of the reasons why we're already building out our communities and new communities and bringing our communities from other platforms over to Bluesky. So we're going to be talking about how we're using the platform, how lawyers can embrace this platform to build out their brands, to add value to their community, to make new connections, to engage with people from around the world. That's the most exciting thing about these platforms. We're going to share links, we're going to share tips, we're going to share resources during the show. But what's interesting, Nancy, is even though this is a new platform that we're just getting started on, I think some of the traditional approaches to building brands, to building an awareness, to engaging and helping others apply to Bluesky just like they do, for example, LinkedIn. I know over on LinkedIn, you're a LinkedIn expert when it comes to the legal sector on how to do all the above. What are some things you would like, just generally speaking, for our audience members to pay attention to when starting to implement some of the plans that we share with them during tonight's show?
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. I think it is very similar. I mean, to get started is just to get started and to come on over and set up a profile. One of the things that that I shared early on, and when I say early on, I mean, it's all relative. Even though you and I set up accounts probably quite a while ago, and we just really started actively using it, probably since the election. But one of the things, and I've even shared it again once or twice, is to make sure that not only are you setting up your username so that people know it's Mitch Jackson, but also to, equivalent to what your headline is on LinkedIn, where you have, a couple hundred characters to say what you do in a nutshell. Make sure you're doing that on Bluesky as well, on every social media platform, but particularly here because I'm still seeing so many people, I'll get notifications that'll say, these people followed you. And I take time and I look and I try to see who's there because this is a fresh start. And so I want to make sure that I have a pretty meaningful presence there. As I talk about on LinkedIn, profile and presence, I want to make sure that I'm doing the same thing on Bluesky. And so I will click through and I'll take a look at each of the people who are following me before I decide if I'm going to follow them back. And I will probably wild guess 50% of them don't have anything written in their profile for their description. And a lot of people might know them. They might be news media. I know I'm kind of a news junkie, but I don't know a lot of these people. And so please let people know who you are. Give yourself a fighting chance to build connections and to attract connections by giving people just a snippet about yourself. And then jump in and it's okay not to know everything. Mitch and we've been talking about this both through, text and voicemail and LinkedIn, and saying we don't know everything about this, but we're sure going to have fun trying. And it's okay to be new. I often say nobody starts in the middle. And so it's okay to say my first day on Bluesky, or how the heck does this work? Because you'll be shocked we are in a really kind phase and people are so nice and so
So
helpful.
nice.
So
Unbelievable.
nice. It really
Unbelievable.
is. It's almost like I'm waiting for somebody to slap me or something because
I had my first block last night.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Somebody blocked
yeah.
you?
It was on our show. It was a comment
Oh,
about you and I being on a show and lawyers being on Bluesky. And I'm like, you know what?
what a
Boop,
stinker.
blocked,
Oh,
whatever.
you blocked.
But
Yeah.
it's so easy. Well, I think this person thought we were both lawyers, but it's so easy to
Oh.
use block. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, that's okay.
this is a great time, right? To build.
Yeah,
Everyone's
it is.
excited. Everyone's, interested in getting connected. Perfect segue into questions we're already getting. How do we get started, right? How do you get started? And we're going to walk you through setting up your accounts. We're going to walk you through how to engage and things like that. We've got a couple of notes set up, and maybe to get started, where's my little note? Oh, Nancy, I
Which
had the Bluesky. Yeah, here it is, right here. So to
There
get
you
started
go.
with Bluesky, we put it up on the screen. And for those of you listening, you go to BSKY, that's short for Bluesky, bsky.app. Whether you're on your browser, laptop, and we're going to show you what it looks like on your phone. But to sign up for Bluesky, it's like any other platform. Even though it's open source, you just click the link. And if you're on your desktop or laptop, you kind of walk through the steps. And what we wanted to do, Nancy, is let's go ahead and show them what it looks like if you're doing this from your phone. There are a couple of apps out there that look like Bluesky. I want to make sure everybody gets the right app, right? And I don't think it's like, for malicious reasons, but I want people to see if I can bring this up. I thought I had the apps set up, Nancy. Window. This works so well when we were starting.
You're there.
Yeah, you know what?
You do have them
It's
open. You can
interesting.
click them.
Well, actually, I don't. And what I want everyone to look at is, let me show everybody real quick on my phone, because I want to make sure they get the right app
Mm.
when it
Oh,
comes to
yeah.
Bluesky. I want you to see what it looks like. And just give me a second, everybody. We've got a lot of things going on.
Hi, Gav. Good to see you.
And the Bluesky app, you tell me if you can, I know it's kind of blurry.
It's doing a funny, yeah, it's giving a blur. Move it. That's weird. Why is it? I wonder why it's doing that.
You know why? I don't know, but it's a little blue butterfly. Okay,
Yeah,
so if you're on your phone, there it is.
I can kind of see, yeah, from the side. It's
So
trying to show
it's
it.
on my phone, and it's the
Yes,
little
very
blue
cool.
butterfly, and it says Bluesky Social. So if you're downloading this from your Android or your iPhone app, that's what it looks like on your phone. Tap it and download it and bring it up. If you're accessing the app from your desktop, I believe, let me see, StreamYard Studio, Nancy. I wonder, you know what? Probably before the show, we were messing around with a couple of things, and I think I lost my screenshots. I had screenshots for everybody. But what I want you guys to do, if you're looking at it from your desktop, you're going to be just Google Bluesky, and it'll take you to the application, and just click your way through. Okay, that's the easiest way to get started. And once you get your account set up and you use your name, or for example, if you see what Nancy and I have done, Nancy's Bluesky handle is nancymerland.bluesky.social. Now that's the default, right, with your name.
Yes.
So if you select your name, it's going to look like Nancy's, okay, which is what mine looked like also. But what I did, and we're not going to go into the details today, but I also went ahead and connected one of my domains to Bluesky. So if you just go to mitch.social, it takes you to my Bluesky profile. Super easy to remember. And I think, Nancy, for law firms, if they set their law firm domain up like this, and you were working with one of those firms, it would be Nancy at mitch.social. You can set up subdomains for everybody in your law firm. And I think that's a really important feature that Bluesky offers.
Agreed.
That most platforms don't.
It's great because it also keeps people from, all these, these imposter accounts that have and will pop up just because people are weird. It keeps people from, if you look at if you look at Mitch's and it says mitch.social, well, that's his website. So you'll know that that's in essence a way of verifying his account. And so if you see two Mitch Jacksons on there, you would look for the one that was mitch.social because that's his website. That's his URL. So the same with your law firm's URL. You can set it up so that your law firm's URL is actually part of your name instead of the .bluesky.app. So, you can, and a lot of those details are on the website. There are some articles on it as well. We can point you to some of those things after the fact, but we could drown in them tonight if we started to get into all the fun little nuances. We would be here. I told Mitch, we could talk for the next couple hours about all of this.
We really could. We really could. And everyone just needs to know, you can use your default name that's available and grab your name now, save it, right? And you can always tweak it later. For example, I started off with Mitch Jackson. I think it was Mitch Jackson ESQ because Mitch Jackson was taken. And then a week or two later, Nancy, I went ahead into the settings, which are right here. And can you see my screen share, Nancy?
I sure can.
Okay, I went into the settings. I clicked account. I'm not going to click and disclose everything right now, but I went in and I just added the domain like Nancy and I have been talking about. But what we want to do is we're going to bring up our Bluesky accounts and kind of share with you some of the different features and some of the tweaks you can make on these accounts. What Nancy was talking about, in fact, Nancy, why don't you talk about, and let me bring up yours and talk about how you set up your, let me search for Nancy, go over to the search bar on the right. I search for Nancy, I click there. Are you still there? Can you see it, Nancy?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so I brought up Nancy's in the same tab. And Nancy, talk to us a little bit about your image selection, the photograph, and how you set up your profile. It's super important because it's the first thing I look at.
Absolutely. It's the same as with LinkedIn. I always tell people when people come to your profile, which they've chosen to do, you're not, you haven't tied their hands and made them go anywhere. So if they're there for a purpose, and it's to learn something about you. So take advantage of that banner image, because it's a very quick way to tell people a little bit of something about you, whether it's personality, it's what you do for a living, where you live. It could be any of those things. And it's so funny because when I came back and rediscovered Bluesky and realized I had set up an account however many months ago, and I had put this banner image up there already. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to leave it. I kind of like it. It shows me speaking, which is what I wanted, which is what I like to show. And then there's some defaults. Like if you look under, Mitch, if you go back to right under, yes, the people who are following me, where you can see posts, replies, right there. Yeah. Those are there by default. And so what you can do is for those of you who've spent time on Twitter, this will look very familiar. And a lot of these things are very similar. A few nuances here and there. One of the things I'd like for you to pay attention to, and then I did this very early on Twitter, because Twitter, I think, I joined in 2008, realized I needed to be organized from the start. And so what I did was I set up lists on Twitter. I've set up lists here, and I call them by names that I choose. They don't have private lists yet, which I would love to ask Rose when she comes to let us make some of our lists private, like we had on Twitter. But these are all people I've just put in categories. I don't put everybody into one of these categories, but these are my lists so far. I keep adding them all the time. And if I go to one of those, these are people who I've put into a list called tech. These people report on, they discuss, they care about tech issues. And I have another one, smart and innovative lawyers, I think. And Mitch, of course, you were probably one of the first people I put in there.
I better be in
You
that
better
one.
be in
Now
there.
we're going to hold
If
you
you're
to
not, I'll be
it.
embarrassed. I know I missed some people at the start.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
And let's point this out. When we used to go to that other platform, what would happen is we had this algorithm in front of us that was delivered to us based upon a lot of different factors beyond our control. You could spend all afternoon in just this feed, in just this list, in the feed or algorithm that you choose to be in, regardless of what the topic may be. And so it's really a cool feature, Nancy.
I love lists. And I have one called Don't Miss These People. And I haven't populated, because it's early, I haven't populated it as much as I did on Twitter. But it was over there and is here going to serve the exact same purpose you just talked about. That if I only have 5 minutes to touch base in Bluesky and touch base with those people I really want to touch base with for whatever reason, either I learn from them, or maybe they're a client, potential client, or just a very, very good friend, family member, but I don't want to miss them, then I can go right to Don't Miss These People, that list, and I can go ahead and just look at that feed of those people. So that's why I recommend right from the start creating those lists and name them anything that you want. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so important. And the challenge, Nancy, is when I'm in a different tab, I'm unable to see who's joining us, and Rose should be joining us in a few minutes. Okay, assuming that we're still on our calendar. And if you see her pop in, just go ahead and please just let me know with your voice, and I'll click back over. Okay. Are you able to see the other guest?
I am. All I see is
Okay.
me down there so far.
Right.
And you haven't checked me out yet, so I think.
All right. I'll check back. But what I wanted to do is go over. You can see my feed right here, right?
Yep.
So everyone, this is how the profiles look. On your left over here, you've got your home, you've got your search, notifications, private chats, which I'm not going to click on, feeds that you're interested in. Some are default feeds that Bluesky provides. For example, if I wanted to go into an art feed, I could just click here. This could be my algorithm for the day or for 5 minutes, where I can really connect with other people I share interests with. You've got your feeds button, your list button, like what Nancy was talking about. If you want to follow the Bluesky team, I've set up a list. That's Rose on the left. That's the CEO, Jay, on the right. That's Mr. Cuban in the middle. And so you can see how you're able to follow groups of people. You're able to follow topics really any way you want. And it's just a powerful setting. Now, I am going am going to go into the settings. Rose is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause going into the settings. Let me stop sharing. And Rose, I'm going to give you a heads up. We're going to bring you up. Give me a thumbs up if you're okay. She's ready. I knew you'd be ready. And we have Rose Wang joining us. Let me unmute you, Rose, or you're going to have to unmute yourself. Can't unmute
Rose.
There she is.
Hey, Rich. How are you guys?
Hey, good to meet you, Rose.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Rose Wang. She is the COO of Bluesky. And Rose, I was checking up on you. You've got a very fascinating background, and I love how you're bringing all of your talents, all of your enthusiasm and interest into this platform. The interviews you're doing on all the different major networks, I think, are what we want to hear. Thank you for doing that. Harvard graduate, everyone, and someone who spent a little time on Shark Tank. And I'll tell you what, if you can spend some time on Shark Tank and get Mark Cuban to raise his hand and say, Rose, I want you, then so do the rest of you. It's really good to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Mitch. What a lovely introduction. and a blast from the past for me.
Absolutely. What an experience. But
when was that, Rose?
I believe it was 2016 when we filmed the segment, and I think it aired in 2017. There's always a delay in TV.
A lot of fun. It was fun to watch. I've had a friend of mine, a fellow Arizona Wildcat, Chris Gronkowski, has a product, and he was on, and Derek Jeter picked up his product, and he told me all about it. So on another show at another time, maybe we can dive into it, because I think people are interested in that kind of stuff. Tell us about Bluesky. What are your plans for 2025? What should we, as lawyers, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, what do we want to pay attention to moving forward? We're going to go through all the bells and whistles today.
Yeah.
But just from your 30,000 foot level, what's got you excited? What's going on?
Well, first of all, thank you both for taking the time to show everyone Bluesky. I mean, from the bottom of our hearts, we couldn't do this without you. And this is what we mean when we say Bluesky is built for the people, by the people. You guys are an extension of us in so many ways. And so thank you. And then for everyone else who's here, really excited to share a little with you about Bluesky. The vision had always been, hey, let's make our online world a lot more democratic. And what does that look like, right? We use these fancy words like decentralization. But at the end of the day, decentralization is a more technical term for like more democratic. It means that there's no central authority, no central organization that's making all the decisions. And so what that looks like within the app is how you guys just show different feeds. And the really cool thing about feeds is anyone can make a feed. It's crazy.
I know.
10 years we haven't had that, and actually 20. And so the way I like to compare it, it's like 1950s TV when you were given 2 channels, right? And
right.
How many of us were around in 1950? I was born in 57, so I kind of remember. Good
I don't
analogy.
talk about age, so I don't know. I'm just going to play dumb.
According to, yes, no one here, no primary sources. Just, we've heard about this. But it's kind of crazy that is the world we live in social, where you're given 2 channels or, 1 channel on other platforms that are controlled by a small group of people. When we really are living in the Netflix era, like new YouTube era, where anyone can create content, right? We should democratize that, and how we choose to view that content. What makes me happy in the morning might not make me happy in the afternoon, let alone what do people in different countries want to see, right? So we want to give that customization back to the people, users, because users also have choice online. This is a whole world we're building, and we should really think about what do we have offline, right? We own our own identities. We have our relationships with our friends. We have our belongings. These are laws that were put into place so that we are protected as citizens. We should expect a lot of the same rights online. But rather than what we think should be government controlled speech or platforms, we really think that there should be more of a free market where, hey, let's have everyone build experiences, and then users get to vote with their feet. So that's fundamentally what we want to build on Bluesky.
Rose, one of the things that I treasure is that you aren't deprecating posts because they have external links.
Yes.
And on
Yes.
every other platform, I love some of the other platforms. I teach about them regularly, and don't think I'm not suggesting anybody abandon them, but it is a fact that when I put and when any of my clients put an external link in a post, those algorithms will deprecate the exposure of those links. I get it. They want eyeballs there. They get to serve more ads to people. They make money, on and on and on and on. But I love, it's almost like I'm thinking, no, seriously, you really are still going to keep this in my feed or others' feeds who are following me if I have an external link? You're kidding me. So it's almost like it's unbelievable, but it is believable because that's what you're doing. So I appreciate that and value that so much in what you're doing.
Thank you, Nancy. And, it's really important for me to point out that you should never, it's always about the infrastructure and the process that people should trust. And so, threads could come in and open up links today, and maybe they'll close it up again in 3 months, right? That is the power of these platforms. But what we ask is look at our incentives. Every other platform, their incentive is they must be able to take money from advertisers because that's their main business model. And so at that point, they're long-term incentivized to keep you in because that whole business is the selling of your private data, meaning lock you in because as soon as you leave, they no longer have your private data. They no longer have the thing to sell. And so for Bluesky, we've chosen not to go this route, and we've taken this option away from us because we don't sell private data. Everything is open and public, like the open web. And so we have to rely on a different business model, which then is what allows us to put the end user first because we don't need to cater to advertisers. And so because of that, we will always open up links because what we believe is that Bluesky is the lobby to the open social web. And so you can use these links to not only discover what's happening in the world, but I need a lawyer. Who do I go to? Well, I've been following Nancy and Mitch on social, right? For a long time. I've developed some trust with them. You want to be able to immediately take them to how to reach you. And then you get to control that experience. That's what we want to
I love that.
Rose, it's been such a, this is such a unique opportunity right now because of the climate, the mindset. People are looking for change, a new platform that's open source. We've been around, my first website was in 95 and we built out a global brand, fast forward to social media and all, Web 2 and Web 3. And it's the difference between meeting someone one-on-one across your desk in 1 to 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 around the world, building relationships, referral bases, helping other people, adding value, right? It's not necessarily even marketing. I want everyone here to know, and Rose, maybe you can highlight this before, I don't know how long we've got you for, but for new users that didn't want to bring their time and attention to that other platform for obvious reasons, to lawyers getting onto social for the first time via Bluesky, what are some of the advantages to being early? What are some of the advantages to leveraging the different technologies that you're offering here on this platform?
So the first thing that's really important about Bluesky, as Nancy, you were talking about with all these links, is that what publishers and generally end users are seeing is that they're getting so much more engagement on Bluesky because you're not tied to an algorithm that's only promoting the biggest brands or the most polarizing posts. And so this is the right time to get into Bluesky because there's so much excitement to meet new people. There's people are liking each other's posts. There's so many responses.
Yeah, they are.
Personally, he's going through and just responding to people. Yeah. And so the party's happening now. And so this was a strategy that many micro influencers and creators used during Snapchat era when Snapchat was so many of them started with Snapchat and grew with Snapchat's growth. And so we have been very clear that we want Bluesky to be a home for all creators, all independent business people, anybody who has a presence online, who want to show more than just some sort of response or be a lurker, right? You want to create your own presence online. Bluesky is a home for you because it's the place you get to customize your own experience. It's where you own your own data. You own the relationship with your audience. So if you ever wanted to leave Bluesky, you can take your following with you, right? You don't get trapped in. And so that's why we say start now, start early, because we think that more and more people will come because it's about, like I said, again, the incentives. That's at the end of the day, you know, we can build all of this with the right intentions, but if we're not actually seeing the ROI, then it's a failed attempt. But what we're seeing is that the ROI is here, that the Guardian was seeing like more traffic from Bluesky in their first week with just 300,000 followers on Bluesky than on X all of 2024, where they had 10.8 million followers. Right.
And yeah.
Just
And fast
amazing.
forward to today, I think there's 24 million reasons why we want to be here, right? This is just fantastic. I know you do have to go. Rose, Nancy, and I want to thank you for being here. And maybe, you know, in 4 or 5, 6 months, we can circle back and kind of compare notes. I feel this is like a home. I feel like Nancy and I were sitting in my kitchen having a glass of wine. There's a knock on the door. Rose comes in, the COO of Bluesky. How you guys doing? Takes a glass and she leaves. And that's what's make this so awesome. Rose, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you both so much. We really couldn't do it without everyone involved. So
we're all here for you. Reach out if we can ever do anything for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So much.
Yes. Let us know.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Take care.
That was awesome.
That
was awesome. And, you know, this is what new platforms are all about, everyone. You have access to, you know, the founders and the executive officers and people that really want to see this thing work. And when you have personalities like Rose, who amazing, right? That's just amazing. But she was talking a little bit about the settings, which is where we left off. And let's bounce back over there, Nancy, if you don't mind. Let me check the comments here. We've got a bunch of comments here. Gav Ward talks about how, you know, things are changing, right? We're living in a new world. And to paraphrase Rose, we will always open up links if you need a lawyer. You know, here's the thing, you guys. And what Nancy was talking about is you can actually put your links. And Nancy, I'm going to show everyone an example. Let's walk our talk real quick, because I think this is important. Okay.
Gav, thanks for putting that in there, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks for supporting us and putting that in there. Let me take that down. Let me go to something, because this is really cool, everyone. And let me see. I think we're back over to my spot, right?
Yes.
Can you see my, all right. So here's the thing, everyone. When Nancy's talking about links, here's what she's talking about. If I share a post, which I've done, and let me go to my profile. Hang on, because this is really cool, everybody. What you can do is you can post, and I'm going to go to a post that we recently did. What's going on here? This is not, go over to my post button. And I did an article on something called strategic spontaneity. It's a little concept that you want to be aware of how to handle yourself and make decisions when things don't go your way in an unexpected fashion. There's a method to all of this. It's one of the reasons I think I found some success in my career. Anyway, I did a little post on Bluesky, and Nancy and I are going to show you how to create these posts. And what we did is I included a link. Okay, this link that I included is not going to penalize me in the algorithm. It's not a bad thing. Bluesky is encouraging it, but you can click on the link and you can go to the full article without suffering any detriment from the platform algorithm, from the platform gods that run the show. And to me, that's one of the most powerful things about this platform is the link function. And that's what it looks like. And that's how it works. And where did it take us? It took us to a platform, a open source blogging platform that I'm using that complements and feeds right into Bluesky. And we're going to share the links with you a little bit later. But let's go back into the settings, Nancy, real quick, just to kind of get some of the foundational things out of the way. Every setting you can think of regarding your account, setting up multiple accounts, privacy and security, it's all there. The moderation button that we're looking at right here is key. I just love this button.
This is important.
Yeah, this is super important. The reason I love this button is it allows you to moderate, to filter out, to block, to mute, to get rid of all the nonsense that we were experiencing on that other platform. For example, if I click on muted words and tags, I want you to see kind of how it works. You have full control over whether it's temporary or permanent or for a certain period of time, okay? If I click list, I can actually select list that contained the names of handles who I don't want to be exposed to. And these lists are updated, and you can independently find this list, and we're going to show you how to basically use these lists to pre-filter or pre-block out things you don't want to be exposed to. let me see here, content filters. As you can see, there's all kinds of stuff down here. I don't want any adult content displayed in my feeds. I've got that set up. And these are the kinds of things that we're showing you.
And it's interesting because some of these are, I mean, there are some defaults on them. When I was messing around in them today, I realized, I thought to myself, I don't think I turned all these on or off, or, which level I wanted. I think there are some that are on by default. So you'll want to spend, like Mitch is saying, you'll want to spend some time taking a look.
This one's good. This is a default service.
This is what I was
Bluesky.
today.
So when you click on settings and you go into, once again, for those of you setting things up, moderation, go down to the bottom. I click the Bluesky moderation service, and this is what came up. And it allows you to hide, to eliminate, whether it's something that's labeled a certain type of content, different posts I can block, different replies. And so what I went through to my taste is I went ahead and just eliminated all of this nonsense from showing up in my feed, because I do want to come across as being somewhat casual but professional. I do want to share value for entrepreneurs and business owners. So does Nancy. And I just don't want this stuff in my feed. But I was telling Nancy before we went live that, some of this stuff is coming in. When you get a follower, what happens is up here you see followers. You click that, you can see who's following you, right? And what I do before I follow back, and I try to follow back as many people as I can, but you can click down, you can click on Trevor Young, who's a friend, a marketing friend of ours. I can click on Trevor's profile, see what he's doing. I know Trevor, I want to follow him. I'm glad he's following me. I click follow back and we're done. That's how fast it is. If it was somebody I wasn't interested in connecting with, I could have clicked mute, block, or some other option. I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I do too. And it's interesting, and I don't want to stop you, lose your train of thought, because I love that you're giving a tour. One of the very first things that I know people are curious about on any new social network, and it happened when Post was one of them, Mastodon. There's so many that popped up in the last couple of years, and people say, "Well, I don't want to start a brand new feed again. How do I?" On and on and on. It's overwhelming. It's daunting. I've got so many connections and followers elsewhere. And one of the easiest things to do is, let's say you know that you want to talk about things that lawyers talk about, and you like Mitch, and probably a lot of Mitch's connections and followers are people you might be interested in too. So you just go to Mitch's profile, you just click on his followers and just start looking at some of his followers or his lists even, or look at one of my lists. Let's say you want legal marketing and, MarTech, legal tech, and I've got them like 4 of them grouped together in one list. You might just flip down that list and say, oh, Nancy just did the work for me, and decide, oh yeah, I want to follow this, not that person, this person, and make it easy on yourself. So you have this brand new chance to build, because let's all face it, we all have connections and followers on other platforms that we look at and think, I don't even remember that person. And how did that even happen? At some point in time, they meant something for some reason. We had a connection, but then years went by and that may have been lost. So that's one way to start. And you can see I'm kind of judicious about who I accept, and just my numbers are still pretty low. But I would recommend you just kind of take a look at either lists or followers, and that will help you brainstorm and be exposed to some people you might want to connect to.
Along those lines,
this is a great list, Mitch.
Oh, thank you. Along those lines, we have what are called starter packs. And it's a great way. For example, Nancy and I are working on our list. We're working on our starter packs. I started one, Nancy, and then it got kind of overwhelming. So I'm starting again because we're new, and I want to make sure it's exactly what I want my audience, my community to be exposed to. And you can add people to your starter pack, which means if somebody comes in, they can click a button and they can follow everybody in your starter pack and get a fresh, quick start on the platform. One of the things I noticed is there's a lot of tools and resources out there. And so what I did at mitch-jackson.com/bluesky is I set this up. And it's just a quick list of some different things. For example, and Nancy, is it okay with you if I go through this real quick?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So let's start with starter packs right here. Starter packs, you can search the starter packs. And these links are not my links. They're just links that I bookmarked and put on a blog page, blog post, but you can actually search starter packs to follow people. You can follow podcasts, or you can follow journalists. If you're a lawyer and you want to follow lawyers, I'm going to type in lawyers, and what happens is it brings up different starter packs
That
that you
page
can.
didn't come up. It stayed on your resources page. There we go. There you are. There it is.
And yeah, and we thank you, Nancy. And we can come and follow different starter packs of different lawyers. If you're an immigration attorney, you can click this starter pack, and what it looks like is this is how it works. This is an immigration advocacy. I always encourage everyone, thumb through the starter pack, see who's there, see if there's people you want to individually follow. And that's a great way to start building out your community, because most of the time people will follow back. Or you can click follow all, and you can follow everyone just like that. It's just a great way to get started with what you're doing. Also, over at the MitchJackson.com Bluesky link, we have a Google Doc by the CEO, Jay. I believe she put it together, if I'm not mistaken. But it's really, really good. And what it does is it explains, can you see it, Nancy?
Not yet.
What it
Now
does.
I
Yeah,
can.
sorry about that.
That's all right.
I wish it was a lag. I didn't click the right button.
That.
Just being honest and transparent with everyone.
Absolutely.
And by the way, thanks to everyone for joining us. We actually have a pretty good crowd going on the different platforms. This is cool. But what I want everyone to know is, in this particular starter guide or quick start, it's really everything you need to know. I would spend 15 or 20 minutes, put your lawyer glasses on, your lawyer hat on, and kind of look through this, as far as what will work for you, for your community, for your needs on this platform. For example, Quick Start, there's a great tutorial that you could click and read about the Quick Start. The starter pack directory I already showed you. You click this link and it takes you to the starter pack directory that I just showed you. Useful tricks and tips for Bluesky. You click this. In fact, I'm going to just to show you what it looks like, because I happen to know. And here's a feed on Bluesky that shares, different. Well, I don't know where we are now. Can you see me?
I can. Yep.
Okay. Anyway, there are different things that you can click into to learn more about what we're doing. Now, I should be back in the Google Doc. Am I correct?
You are.
Okay, so let's go ahead and scroll down, and I just want you to see there's different articles for getting up to speed. You can read these things on your own time while you're watching Monday Night Football or watching the Travel Channel. Account settings, how to set your account up, moderating your account, the best way that works best for you. I already showed you that tab, Nancy and I did, but this really dives into the detail of how to block, what happens when you block someone, what are the consequences and ramifications, if any. Spoiler alert, there are none, other than you get your life back. So these are really cool tips that you can put into play. Muted words, you can mute words, you can mute phrases, you can mute hashtags, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to scroll down this real quick. It's a long list, but there are a lot of different things you can do in this platform. You can even fine tune how your posts and threads are displayed in front of you, or who your posts or threads are displayed to third parties. Anyone that can look at your post, only your followers can look at your post. You can really fine tune it. And once again, there's a lot of contact information. The reason I just wanted to go through this, Nancy, is let everyone know there's a lot of information here, and it's all in one document that's being updated. I encourage all of our mutual friends, to spend 15 or 20 minutes and kind of look in here. What I'm talking about is, for example, if you don't want this nonsense in your life, you can actually click this link down here, and it'll take you to a single button that you can press that will just block out all of the known participants for that particular topic or conversation point. And I encourage everyone to use it responsibly. Make sure you're not blocking out the wrong people. At the very bottom of this document are a great set of resources that I went through. I went through each one, trying to learn as much as I could about the platform. And then we have third-party tools, Nancy, and these are really cool. We have third-party tools that are very similar to what we're used to on some of the other platforms. For example, there's a tool that allows you to, if you want to, bring all of your Twitter followers that you're interested in
Right.
bringing over into Bluesky with a couple of clicks. It's really cool.
Fascinating.
Right. And there's also, I'm looking at, it's called the Sky Follower Bridge. It's this one right here. And you can click on these links and kind of read about whether or not they're good for you, whether or not it's something you want to do. But let me stop sharing real quick. I think what's interesting, Nancy, is a couple of highlights, just real quick, that work really well for me. Deck.blue. Have you tried that yet, Nancy?
Yes, and I was a TweetDeck lover right from the early days whenever TweetDeck came around, and I think Kevin O'Keefe maybe told me about it in the early days, and, I added all my lists that I was talking about earlier as columns in it, and I was so excited when I saw that we had something similar here that could give everything at a glance. Some people are over when they used to look at my TweetDeck desktop, they would be overwhelmed by it, but it was easy. I hope is that what you're talking about?
It is. And
Oh,
let me show
okay.
everyone, well,
Or did I get off on another one of the tools? Was that what you were talking about?
that it was what I was talking about, I
Okay.
believe.
You'll tell me if it
I
wasn't.
don't remember what I had for lunch last week, much less. Okay, are we both back to, am I still sharing? I'm still
We have your
sharing.
account in front.
All
There we
right.
go.
So everyone, that particular app, and once again, it's called deck.blue, deck.blue. And I use it, and I was just going to try to bring it up, Nancy. That's what I was doing, because I want everybody to see how cool it is.
It is cool.
And if it comes in and I don't have to log on, oh, we're in luck, you guys. This is cool. Check this out. We're really going through the bells and whistles of this platform. I think.
Well, there's some things that are just fun.
Yeah. So here we go. Here we go. So this is my deck.blue. And as you can see, everyone, I've got notifications, mentions, legal tech, mutuals, Bluesky, the CEO, Jay. And I can click notifications and I can see, what's going on, 5 new followers, this particular post, and it allows you to tap and respond. It allows you to engage with people in an organized fashion. You can pick whatever you want your column to be. You can create a search, you can create a list, you can custom feed your column. You can do almost anything you want so that everything is well organized in front of you. And for example, this Bluesky posted, scientists, academics, and researchers were excited to share that altmetric.com is now tracking mentions on your research, right? That's really, really cool. So what I can do is I already liked that particular post. I can click here and I can say, that's exciting, right? And hit reply and it's done. If I want to go to that post, I just click it. And I can go to this particular user and see what they're up to. And so it's a really easy way to manage your Bluesky experience,
right.
which
in
one interface.
One view. It's great.
Another tool, Nancy, I'm using the White Wind blog feature.
I saw that. I was going to ask you about that. Tell me because I know you have a blog on your website as well.
I got so many blogs. I got so many blogs all over the place. I don't even know where my blogging is anymore. But the point I was trying to make with this particular blog is it's so fun to test out an open source blog. Okay. So it's got the same underlying principles as Bluesky that allows me to play nicely and quickly with Bluesky. And the platform is right here in my header. This is, by the way, everyone, this is my header. Our office is on top. Like Nancy said, you want to, give the impression that you want to give right off the bat, right? I wanted to put, whether it's a cat, a dog, an office, a beach, a surfboard, whatever it may be, you can change it anytime you want. You just click edit.
And links.
This is in link, the whole thing. So I put some links up here to our website.
Love that.
To all my other social media links using Linktree. But the Bluesky blog, this is what it looks like. And you just click a button and you can do a blog post like that. Super easy. And for example, I did one this morning on another site, but I just copied it over here. And it talks about referrals and networking and just a really easy way and fun way of doing business. But the reason this works so well with Bluesky is you can click a button over here and you can share it immediately on Bluesky. You can share it on the other platforms. You can copy the link and share it someplace else that's
Okay.
not offered here. So it's just, oh, you
So
know
it's
what? You're
not
not even seeing
there.
that.
They didn't build
Sorry.
it, correct? Someone built it using the API so that it would okay,
Exactly.
so that you could share it
Exactly.
over. Yeah.
So here's the Blue Sky share. So if I click that, what it does, it then, if I want to, I can copy and, just click post and share this on Blue Sky if I wanted to. And what's interesting about open source, and I'm sure the Blue Sky tech team is just, grimacing on my description on all this stuff. Let me come back to
Got it.
you. um, I'm trying to come back to you. Hopefully I'm there. Okay.
You're there.
Is that it's open source, which means developers can build out all these other platforms. So the platform
Yeah.
I just showed you was built by a third-party developer. And they're using, I guess, the Blue Sky API or some other type of connection to make it work with Blue Sky. And that's what's really cool about these platforms, is that we have really bright coders and entrepreneurs building these complementary third-party platforms that with a couple of clicks play really nice with Blue Sky.
Devs
And
are having so much fun with
the
this
devs,
because it's open. Their API is open, and they're not charging for it. They're not, yeah, they're not closing it down because they're upset with somebody that day or that week or that month. And it's really fun to watch people start to develop these apps on top of.
do you know the answer to this question? Because I think Blue Sky is global, isn't it?
I believe it is global. I wouldn't be. I haven't seen if there are any countries that are excluded, but I believe it is global, and I believe that's the intention.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think yes. You might see if the app is available. If the app is available in your app store, if you can go to that, just go to that URL that Mitch shared earlier, and just see if you're able to log on.
So circling back to the beginning of the show, we're getting a couple of questions. How can I get started? Where's the link? And so once again, because we're so
There you
prepared,
go.
we actually have the link
You're
right
so
here on
prepared.
this. We're right here on the screen. And for those of you watching, that's the link to get started from your desktop, from your laptop. Just click, it's bsky.app, or just type in Blue Sky app, and it's going to come back at the top of the list. Just very, very straightforward as far as completing your account and setting it up. And once you set it up, just consider eventually getting your own domain. What we mean by that is Nancy's domain. That's the default domain, and it's a wonderful domain because she got to use her name.
It's
But
wonderful, but
what if her name was taken, right?
right,
What if there
right.
wasn't any reasonable, link to your name that you wanted to use? What would you do? And what you can do is, if you have domains, you can either purchase a domain through the Blue Sky website settings. You can actually click and do it from within those
Oh, I
settings.
didn't realize that. That's great.
Yeah. Or I have so many domains
Yeah, me
on
too.
GoDaddy that what I was able to
Oh,
do is follow the simple to follow instructions. It's just a couple of copy and paste things, and you click the settings over on GoDaddy, and they walk you through it within the settings here on Blue Sky, and you can get your own domain. So I already had Mitch.social. It was pointing to one of my blogs. And so I just went ahead and said, okay, I want to go ahead and use it for this. But here's the thing, Nancy, a lot of people aren't appreciating, because I've had a few questions. Our website is jacksonwilson.com. That's our law firm, right?
mhm.
All right. People are going, well, if I use jacksonwilson.com for my Blue Sky handle, is that going to mess everything up? The answer is no. What happens is I believe it's configuring something within the DNS. So your website's still going to work, your email's still going to work, but you can set it up where if somebody goes to Blue Sky and types in that name as your handle, it will be your handle for Blue Sky. Because I've noticed that with Mitch.social, if you type that in, it can still take you back to the other website. So I want everyone to figure that out on their own, but they need to understand that this option is out there. And for companies, if the company's name was, let's bring up Nancy's again. If the company's name was, Nancy Merland, for example, Enterprises, and your name's Bob and you work for Nancy, you could set up a subdomain, bob.nancymerland.bluesky.social. So you can assign one to each of your team members. I think that's pretty cool,
I do
Nancy.
too. And it's just, yeah, it's on the C panel at your host in the DNS settings. They give you a couple of codes to copy over in your DNS settings, and that does it. When I watched a video from our friend Vlad that you found, and I found
Mm.
him through you, a real easy video that he also summarized it. And Mitch and I both shared that on our account within the last day or so. So you
See if
can
I
even
can
look.
find it.
Yeah, and he's such a nice guy. We've been interacting with him a bit. And he just did a quickie tutorial video about how to do it. And I watched
This
it.
is it.
Yeah.
So what I didn't mean to interrupt, Nancy, but what
No,
you're talking,
please,
you can
please.
walk through it, but this is what a post looks like if you share someone else's post, right?
Mhm.
And for example, his YouTube video is shared here,
And he's got
including the
nice
YouTube.
quickies. They're really quick videos. He's having some fun with his
Yeah,
instructions.
and I'm going to keep the volume off, but he explains how to use the advanced search feature of Bluesky, which is kind of cool. And I've done that too. Over in the page we were talking about, everyone, you can do advanced search by using different items. And it's really easy, and you'll get the hang out of it after you do it a couple of times. But it's a really easy way to search everything from a specific post to narrowing down your search to a particular date, to a particular phrase, whatever you may want to do. So it's really cool technology that it's just going to allow us to be more efficient, more effective. For
Yeah.
people out there looking for specific people to connect with, that advanced search is really going to save the day. So
That is
Nancy, this has been an action-packed hour. I'm going to put Rose's handle up again. Everybody follow Rose. She doesn't
do
have
tell.
enough followers on Bluesky. Yeah, right. She's
And
stealing.
tell her where you met her.
Tell her
Through
Nancy
Mitch and
Mitch
Nancy.
sent you over, right?
Yeah.
But
Oh, you know what, Mitch, I wanted to mention? I
yes,
know we're trying to
we're good.
bring
I'm good time
we
wise.
good?
Yeah.
The hashtags are okay. You know, we go back and forth on LinkedIn, and I'll mention this too for people who weren't with us from the start and replay viewers. I will not tell you not to use LinkedIn. That's what I spend a lot of time training, and LinkedIn is a different animal, and do not abandon your efforts on LinkedIn at all.
No,
This is
no.
a different animal. It's a much more conversational, fast moving, hi, Lydia, um, uh, tool, much like Twitter used to be. So hashtags are okay. On LinkedIn, people keep saying, oh, LinkedIn told us not to use hashtags anymore. And I've heard that 2 or 3 times in my lifetime on LinkedIn. And so I still use them. So hashtags are okay over here in case you're wondering. So you can use them in your posts.
We're not telling anybody to abandon the other platforms.
No.
I'm telling everybody to abandon one in particular, but that's another show for another time. But they're different dance floors for different reasons, right? And you can cross pollinate. Maybe we're doing the tango here on Bluesky, and we're doing the twist over on LinkedIn with a bunch of CEOs. That's always fun to watch. But Lydia asked a good question, and maybe Nancy, you could share your thoughts on what the answer could be. I'll just read it for those listening and not watching. She asked, since people move companies, should profiles be personal rather than tied to the company domain, or can you set up 2? What are your thoughts, Nancy?
I don't think I would set up 2, just because that becomes like on any other platform. It just becomes a lot to manage. I think you can go ahead and keep it separate. You can, I suspect that when you leave a company, someone can go in and change the DNS settings. Or actually, you can cancel yours. I think I read that just yesterday or something. You can cancel that custom domain and go back to your Lydia, your typical one that would be the .bluesky.app one. So I believe you could always revert back to that and get rid of the company name.
Subject to rules and subject to your employment agreement with the company. The lawyer in me, it's like, you want to make sure you have the right to do what you want to do. Maybe if you set it up on company time, it's a company asset. It's not really your asset. So I always like people doing personal brands. I love it when people build out their own personal brands, because then it makes you have the ability to move and do whatever you want to do in life. Let me see. I'm looking at another question that came in. All right, we can bring this up. I always want to double check everything and make sure it's appropriate. But I've always loved Twitter, the old Twitter, and now it just got set up on Bluesky. My impression, though, is that most lawyers never really cared for Twitter and preferred LinkedIn as a Twitter alternative. Do you find that Bluesky is a place lawyers' clients are aggregating? I don't care where they're aggregating right now. I care where I'm building my brand right now. Super important. You don't want to be the last person at the party. What you want to do, and I'm saying this with all due respect, what you want to do is you want to go where the attention and the interest is. Gary Vaynerchuk. Oh, I didn't tell you this, Nancy.
What?
The intro to our show
Oh, yeah.
and the outro to
Oh,
our show,
Garrett.
everybody, the video. So my son is a post-creative strategist in the LA office of Vayner Media, okay, Gary Vaynerchuk's company. And he wrote the song just the other day. We're sitting at the kitchen table and he's playing around because he loves EDM. I think that's what it's called. And he's got some great music that he's finalizing. And literally in about 5 minutes. And he goes, Dad, don't use my name. Sorry, Garrett, but I just did. That's what dads do. Because he knows it's not polished and it's not great in his standards. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. And so what I'm getting at is what Gary had a book just come out called Day Trading Attention. And what he's talking about is don't worry about the algorithm. Focus on the connections and what everyone's talking about. What's the attention in your industry? And I was early on Twitter, and I built up a large community on Twitter, resulting in a lot of clients, resulting in a lot of speaking opportunities, a lot of fun vacations. Nancy, I walked away from 44,000 followers, right? But there came a point in time where I just didn't want my clients seeing what I was being exposed to every single day on that platform. And I think what's going to happen, Lindsay, back to your question, is I think as Bluesky starts to develop out and you're complementing your efforts on Bluesky with what you're doing on LinkedIn, which, by the way, is my next favorite platform. I love LinkedIn. That's why I always do everything Nancy tells me to do. But I do. But what I work hard at it. Yeah, I do. But what I'm getting at is I do feel like if you build it the right way and do what we're doing, I think this is going to be the place to be, right? And the other lawyers will eventually. Lawyers always pick up on this stuff last. They're not. This is something where they're not as risk tolerant as other occupations, and so. I would suggest LinkedIn's always great for, professionals, for business owners, whatever it may be. I see this as being a place where, Nancy, you and I are making connections around the world right now on this platform because it's new.
Right.
Right. I don't know if we would have gotten the COO of LinkedIn to join us, right, to do this show.
Correct. Yeah. That person is too busy, too distracted, has a huge company to run. People will be shocked to know there are only 20 employees at Bluesky as it exists today. How a group of 20, that small of a group, can run a company, a social media platform that's growing like it is amazing to me. But no, we couldn't have.
No.
And the same with a lot of other, what people would call influencers, which really, use that term however you want, if you agree with it. But people who probably wouldn't have time to give, me or other people the time of day because they end up with hundreds of thousands of followers on other platforms, we have access to in these early days and can actually have conversations with, and they're answering. And they're doing the same thing a little bit on Threads. We're seeing that kind of interaction. So yeah, it's, and Lindsay too, I think these are such early days that that question maybe in a couple years we would have to do some pretty careful evaluation and say, all right, have they found it? And if they haven't, why? Do we just need to show it to them? Do we need to help them get over the fear of failure like we do on so many other things? And that's not a bad thing. Lawyers are paid to be risk averse on behalf of their clients. That happens to transfer to things like social and digital media. So I get it. I've been working with lawyers for many, many years. So I think it's okay if you, and again, look at all of our lists that have lawyers involved in them and see those lawyers that have taken to it early. And really you can decide for yourself. If you look at it and you give it, however many days, weeks, months you want to, and say, this is really not my thing, or nobody's coming, or I'm interacting with everybody I should be interacting with, doing, practicing good social media hygiene and doing what everybody keeps saying I should do, and nothing's happening, then I think that warrants another conversation. But I think these days are just too early to really worry about that too much. I think the fact that so many members of the media have flocked over to Bluesky is really interesting. I've never, and I mean, if,
Mhm.
just so that I mean, I think people who know me know this. I'm pretty cautious when it comes to these new networks. If I think they're a flash in the pan, I hold back. And I want to continue to be known as someone who gives someone an honest opinion. If they say, Nancy, do I need to pay attention to this? And I say, I don't think so, not yet. I want people to value that and respect that. So I'm not going to ever say, I know that XYZ is going to be the most successful social network because of what I'm seeing now. I will always give you my honest opinion, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. So I just think we have to, Kevin O'Keefe's article talks about this very topic. And Kevin is pretty bullish on it from what he's seeing. And as you can see there, he's showing some success stories. But the attention in these early days, as we talked about earlier, is pretty robust. People are paying attention. And again, a lot of it, if we talk to people, they tend to want to talk back. And
Mhm.
so, just as Mitch and I would tell you on any social media network platform, don't just set it and forget it. There are scheduling tools that are already popping up. Your buffers already. I mean, I think all of them are already able to post. If not, they will within days. Don't just post and go away. There's not drive-by social media does nothing for you. And so to hang around, to actually talk to people is what's going to build community and make a difference on Bluesky, on any social network.
So important. I mean, it's the engagement. It's the
It is
engagement. It's taking the time to just, hey, Nancy, really appreciate you taking the time to share that link. Or I love the walk you just took with your dog. Or
yeah.
what a great, what I like doing, Nancy, is cross-pollinating, where if I see someone do something on LinkedIn, I might point it out in my Bluesky community. Like, there's a great show coming up on LinkedIn, you guys, check it out. And I think, one of the reasons I wrote that recent referral article was to plant seeds in the minds of people on how you can do this. And the best part about it is you're shining a light on old friends or new friends,
Yeah.
people who you know, like, and trust. You appreciate the effort they're making, and you're helping them. And by helping them, you're connecting them with the right people. And it's a full circle dance. I'm very selfish right now about why I want to do this show, Nancy. And I wanted to do this show because I see something in the Bluesky platform that I haven't seen, frankly, since Spreecast. I'm going to be really honest. And Spreecast, you guys came around. It was the first 3G, back in the 3G days, live video platform. Jeff Floor, who's the co-founder of StubHub, put it together. And Nancy and I don't know if you're on that, Nancy, or
I
Blab,
wasn't. I
but
just watched, and that's
I
where I
mean,
became aware of you.
it was, I got a call about being on Spreecast, and my friends were, Mitch, as a lawyer, why would you want to be on Spreecast? You're going to put your foot in your mouth. It's a live video to the world. Why would you want to do this? And now, those of you that know me, I'm like, I'm all in. This sounds really, really cool,
Do you not
right?
know Mitch?
And I'm not no Mitch. And, within a couple of weeks, I'm on shows with some, global
Yeah.
audiences, tens of thousands of live viewers at once. And it was like, wow, what a cool experience. And I feel the same way about Bluesky, the open source architecture, the personalities of the people on this platform, just trying to do good and trying to be kind to each other and trying to share and add value. Yeah, I'm being very selfish. I want more people like that here, because this is, I think, where we need to be. And Nancy, I want to thank you for taking time from your busy schedule. I know you've got a lot on your plate, and joining me. I know you're like, Mitch, what are we going to talk about? Well, we could spend another hour talking about that. But Nancy, this is really cool. If anybody wants to connect with you, why don't we recommend they reach out to you on Bluesky? And I've just put your link up on the screen. And my link's been up there enough tonight, everybody. But definitely connect with Nancy and I if you have any questions. If you want to hit our DMs, are your DMs open on Bluesky, Nancy?
They are. Yeah.
Okay. And it hasn't been a problem, has it?
No, I've gotten a couple from you and one from another legal tech company
But
that had a free subscription to their newsletter,
but you're
nothing
not
yet.
getting spammed, you're not
Not
getting
yet, no, I
harassed,
sure am
not
not.
yet.
People are pretty respectful.
Right,
It's
so hit
it's
us
a
up in our
nice
DMs.
time.
Hit us
Yeah.
up in the DMs, and then let's just all learn and grow together. And I'm gonna put something out to everybody. If you have a really cool app or resource or link that you think we need to know about, definitely just message us, DM us, and let us know so we can take a look at it because we're all learning together.
And we can share it.
Um,
I mean, it's our job is not to act like we know everything and be the be all and the end all resources for Blue Sky. We wanna, we're curators at this point, learning together. So
and that's
yeah,
what makes
it's
it so much fun.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I
So
appreciate you inviting me, Mitch. This is good to do this again.
thanks, Nancy. I'm so glad that you joined us. And for all of you out there, let's enjoy this new Blue Sky journey together and work very, very hard to make each day under our blue skies another masterpiece. And enjoy my son's music as we do the outro. Thanks,
Go
Nancy.
hear it.
Thanks, everyone. Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.